This episode of the Tech in Boston podcast is brought to you by WeWork, an awesome community of creators in Boston and around the world. They offer really cool workspace for startups, host events to help small businesses grow, and they're supporting a ton of entrepreneurial activities in and around Boston, just like this podcast. They're rolling up their sleeves in the area, really trying to help make sure that we can keep top talent here in Boston. If you haven't been there yet, there's 2 locations in the area. One is in Fort Point, and the other one is right across from South Station. I was actually just working out of the Fort Point office yesterday. The place is awesome. South Station is just as awesome. They got great coffee, free beer on tap. How can you beat those 2 things? But most importantly, it's just a nice, quiet space to work, and there's a bunch of cool companies working out of there. So make sure you go and check out WeWork Fort Point or WeWork South Station. Email boston@wework.com, and not only can you get on the invite list for all of their awesome events, but if you're looking for space for your company, just mention that you heard about it here on the Tech in Boston podcast. You'll get 20% off your first 3 months, and you won't have to pay any setup fees. Check out wework.com for more information. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of the Tech in Boston podcast. On this episode, I sat down with Ken Deckinger. He's the founder of JessMeetKen, a new online dating site being built in Boston, obviously. They're working out of MassChallenge. They're a MassChallenge Finalist this year. I really think you're going to like this episode. A little something different. Number 1, when do we ever talk about dating? 2, Ken's a serial dating entrepreneur, and he's already had an exit in the space. He sold his previous company to the company that owns sites like ChristianMingle and JDate. 3, we talked about Tinder, of course, had to bring that up. And 4, the company is based on how Ken met his wife, Jess. They actually met on a similar platform. That company went out of business, and Ken wanted to rebuild it and make it even better, and that's how JessMeetKen got started. So let's get to the interview with Ken. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to check out previous episodes at techinboston.co and follow on Twitter at techinboston. Hey Ken, thanks for coming on Tech in Boston podcast.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here.
So start with some background on JessMeetKen, who you guys are, what you're up to, and kind of how this whole thing got started.
Yeah, so JessMeetKen is an online dating site for women to post guys who they think would be a great guy for somebody else.
Okay.
Guys can't post themselves. They have to be posted by a woman. And if you're a single woman and you see a guy you're interested in, you talk to the woman who posted him. So the 2 women chat, and then they make the introduction happen.
Gotcha. So talk about what stage you guys are at now. People using the product, where are you at in the kind of life cycle of your company?
Yeah, so we launched about 5 or 6 months ago a site just to start allowing women to create profiles and to post guys. And that's all I could do. There was no meeting. We basically got to a page. It was a very basic site.
Yeah.
Online dating really only works, if you have people. So
right.
the idea was get people in it.
Yeah, that was one of my questions is like you start with this idea, the biggest problem is how do we get enough people on there?
Totally, yeah. So we've been doing that, and now we're launching actually the full site right now. Okay. Which will enable people to start meeting and start driving recommendations. Recommendations meaning, hey, you should meet this guy. He's great for you, kind of thing. And we're going to push forward. So kind of go out with like a little more than an MVP product because it's very MVP-ish, but there's little things in here that we probably overbuild and put them in.
So I want to talk about like some of your thoughts on being lean and nimble and stuff, but talk about the story. So you have a really interesting story because how this company actually got started. That's how you and your wife met?
Yeah, it's based on my true life story, and if you go to JessMeetKen,
yeah, I saw that.
You saw the emails.
Yeah. My favorite part was that your dating profile name was Bald Lover.
Yeah, I was. Right.
It's great.
I was the bald lover. I don't take myself too seriously.
That's good.
Fortunately, neither is my wife. Well, she doesn't take me seriously at all, but
So you had somebody connect you guys.
So I have one of my best friends. Her name is Adele. We met when we were 16 years old. We're both from Florida, and we met on a scuba diving trip. Went to rival high schools, wound up both going to the same college, and then wound up living a block away from each other in New York City. And so we started this company called HurryDate, and pioneered the concept of speed dating a number of years ago, and then moved into online dating. And when we were we were moving from the speed dating events to creating an online dating platform. We were researching all these different startups. Not startups, I'm sorry. Dating sites.
Just competitors.
Yeah, competitors, just to get the whole landscape.
Yeah.
And so Adele found this one site that no longer exists, and basically it allowed women to post guides that they think would be a great guide for someone else. And she put me up there. And
what did you need to put? Like, she needed like a picture of you and a description, or
yeah, excuse me. She put a picture of me up there and a description, exactly. And she put like the worst picture you could imagine. It was this goofy picture of me with a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And I was like, take that down. And she's like, just trust me, I know what I'm doing. And she reminded me, she's like, by the way, you're goofy, and this is you. This is what you really look like. And I was like, what? Because I when I look at myself in the mirror, I think I look like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, obviously.
And so Ryan Gosling on a bad day.
Yeah.
And so so I saw this goofy picture and take it down. She's like, no, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And so I don't know, a couple weeks later or so, this woman, Jess, she was on the site and she saw this profile and emailed Adele to ask about me. And the moment Adele got Jess's very first email, she forwarded it to me with the subject, "Holy shit, it's your wife."
Wow.
Yeah. So the second she saw Jess's picture and profile and heard of her for the first time ever, like, she knew we were getting married. Jess,
how did you feel? We were like, oh, let's see.
No, I thought Jess was really hot, and I was
so you're like, all
yeah,
right.
Yeah. I saw the picture.
I'll grab a drink.
Yeah. Basically, I was like, wow, because I'm not like, I was never really that smooth. So all of a sudden, there's this really
Did you have any idea she put you up on this site?
Yeah, I knew.
Okay.
Yeah, totally knew. But I was never really that smooth, and so to have this really hot girl kind of ask about me, I was like, oh, wow,
this is great.
Yeah, I got to do something about it.
I got to carry around a pumpkin more often.
Right. And so Jess and I got together like 2 weeks later. We both met. We met at 2 p.m. In front of the Plaza Hotel. Walked over to the Central Park Zoo, and within 20 minutes, like we both knew we were getting married. And we met at 2 p.m. in case we didn't want to be there. We wouldn't.
Yeah, you had an easy. You didn't have to cancel your night plans or
Saturday night.
Yeah.
So wound up staying together till like 11:30 that night.
God.
And then now we're married. We've got 3 kids. We live in the burbs.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So back to this. So it's an amazing story. But thinking about like being an entrepreneur. So you have this idea. This site no longer exists. You want to build it. How did you actually go from that idea to like, okay, I'm going to sit down and like actually do this? What was the first thing you did?
We just did it. Actually, I mean, it was just let's just
set up a
this.
website and
yeah, it was. We literally just started getting our ideas together, and just it just did it. Just started wireframing things out. Started thinking through what people might want, because functionality is very different today, and how people use websites and mobile devices is very different. Well, there was no mobile platform at all back then, and so we literally just started thinking about it and put a team together and started building. I mean, that was it. It was as easy. I mean, not easy. Nothing was easy. But,
yeah. Not to derail this conversation, but when you're thinking about building now, like in 2014 with a dating site, is it mobile first?
So so we didn't do mobile first. I think most people tell you go mobile first, because that's where the people in your demo are, and they're using dating sites when they're kind of doing other activities. So they're on the train, they're on the bus, they're in the bathroom or something, and they're dating.
Right.
And so a lot of people do that in the bathroom. Like
we use Slack for instant messaging at work, and every time I get one and I don't see my person in the room, I'm like, all right, I know where you're at right now.
I don't know the numbers, but I bet you that if they did statistics on, I bet you someone has, like, how many of you are using Tinder or something on the toilet?
It has to be
Yeah. I mean,
we need to find that the percentage of Tindering that gets done in the bathroom.
Yeah. If I were single, I would use Tinder on the toilet.
Of course.
Like, why not? It's like, what else am I going to do? I'd sit there. I'm usually bored on the toilet.
Yeah. So the bigger background is that you're actually like a serial dating entrepreneur. Like, this isn't your first dating company. So talk about what you were doing before this.
Yeah. It's not my first dating company. So our first company was called HurryDate. We started it. We were more or less fresh out of school-ish, kind of. Started in 2001 in New York City, pioneered this concept of speed dating, which at the time no one had heard of. Bootstrapped the business. We started it by throwing one speed dating event in New York City. We had like 100 people there, like 50 men, 50 women.
How'd you spread the word about that?
I partnered with a friend of mine. He had a promotional company at the time, and he had an email list of about 14,000 people in New York. And so he got the word out initially, and got a lot of media traction, and the media started helping us to get the word out. But we built that business. We were running these speed dating events. The first event we made like $2,000. I was in my 20s and broke, and so it was the most amazing thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
We just reinvested that through another event and kept doing that until at our peak we were doing about 150 of these events a month.
Wow.
in 45 cities.
So literally every day you're doing.
Well, I mean, multiple events a day. We usually always put them on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, sometimes Thursdays if we could pull it off, get the venue space. And we had freelancers basically running these events for us all over the country. So, on a Wednesday night at our peak, maybe we were running 20, 25 events, or more. Then we built that event. It was all mostly bootstrapped, raised a very, very, very little amount of money from one angel investor, but basically bootstrapped the whole business. Moved it into an online dating platform as well, and then the business was acquired by Spark Networks.
So why was it? What was so successful about it? Because the concept of getting people together in an event, probably not the first time anyone's done that, but obviously you guys had something. So what do you think it was?
Well, I think there's two things. One is, dating events are actually very challenging to pull off. There's a lot of variables, and at the time, most of these big online dating sites were trying to move into the event business and failing. They were all doing it at some point, either doing it, it was very mediocre, or they were pulling out of the business altogether. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to successfully run an events business. And then we were able to successfully tie that events business into the online dating platform. And that, and the events basically acted like as a marketing vehicle, but a profit center too. Yeah. And that was really interesting, I think, because other sites were trying to do that, and it wasn't working.
Yeah. So when you got acquired, did they buy, was there a technology that they were buying, or was it buying you and your team and the experience and running a site like that?
It was mostly the team and our experience in running a site like that. The technology that we had, we built an event management system, which at the time I think was very forward thinking. Now it's probably it's a dinosaur. But
sign up in advance, get your email ticket, and check in, and
we had we had as many as 100 freelancers running these events all over the country. So this platform, it did all the booking, but it enabled every function of the business to be managed by those folks, and then just one individual in New York City.
It's almost like an admin tool where they could get all the information they need to run the event. And
exactly. And then there were the guy-girl ratio balances were really important.
Yeah.
So there were little triggers where
I was gonna say, I wonder, was your first event 90-10? And
well, first event was
just get 100 guys.
Yeah. First event was pretty balanced, but then all of a sudden, believe it or not, it was actually women. Women would flood the event.
Yeah.
And the guys, it was really challenging.
Guys wanted to go; they were just too embarrassed to actually do it.
I think guys, we act like we're really tough.
Yeah.
But guys are really protective of their ego and their emotions, and they don't like to put themselves out there. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah. I admit I'm very
of course.
Yeah, so.
All right, so fast forward, you're working on this new idea. Build kind of an MVP and have a little bit of traction. How did you get those first people using your product? Is it reaching out to local people, friends and family, and seeing if this works?
Yeah, it was exactly that. So we started meeting and talking to people in the startup community here in Boston, and when we pushed out that first version of our product to get profiles created, most of these people they got behind us and were just helping get the word out. Yeah. And in the first day we had 300 profiles created, and we were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
That then led to some media attention. Things just started kind of growing a little bit through word of mouth. We also have a lot of relationships from our experience in the industry with bloggers and different people that are quote dating experts, and they were really helpful in getting the word out.
So do you think your goal is to take the everybody has a friend or a family member that's I got to set you up with so-and-so. Is your goal to take that
and instead of making that awkward email, to have a platform where they can just go and write up something about somebody.
Yeah, it is that, but it's only women that have a guy friend. So it's you could have a friend Sarah. Well, that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
So,
tough luck, Sarah.
Yeah, maybe down the road at one point,
Yeah.
but we're being very laser focused right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be coming out of the gate. And also, I don't think guys would do this, right? Like, would you sit around and I've got all these women friends that I want to put online to introduce to my guys.
Yeah. I also couldn't imagine setting up one of my idiot friends with somebody else.
Right.
It's better to keep it where you're at. So one of the topics that you are passionate about when it comes to building a business is staying really nimble. You mentioned bootstrapping from the beginning. Talk about what that actually takes, and are there certain decisions that you've consciously made and said, hey, we're not going to do X, even though we could, because I want to try to keep things bootstrapped?
Yeah, I think what it takes is perseverance and frankly, an understanding of within yourself that you are going down this approach, and that's first and foremost, because bootstrapping is not easy. It really takes a mental adjustment to recognize that that's what you're going to do, and then once you get there, it's really about finding the resources and talent to help you get from point A to point B without having to pay for it.
Right.
And so for us, that meant building a team that brought all the skills we need together to get this done without having to hire people and spend a lot of money. And we did that. And that's what's helped us get there.
Is it tough getting people to buy into that and say, hey, you might not make money for a little while? Is that a hard mission to sell to people?
It's not a hard mission to sell to people, but it is a hard practical reality to sell to people. So I find that a lot of people actually believe in what we're doing and would love to get involved, but then they say, oh, but wait, I forgot I got to pay my rent next month. So
Right.
so it's not, it's actually, I find that people gravitate to what we're doing.
Yeah.
But then the reality sets in.
Right.
So
there's only a select few, you have to really be ready to do something like that.
Yeah. And I think it takes a trust in the individuals that are involved. And we're working with people that are my old team members, people that we've worked with for years. And so we all trust and know each other. And so they jumped in because they get it.
So if you were giving advice to me or maybe somebody else just listening and I came to you as a mentor and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting this business. What are some things that I shouldn't spend money on?
You think of starting any business or just...
A technology company, right?
Yeah.
I have an idea and we're building something and...
Yeah. Well, so I think the first thing you should do is find a technical co-founder that can build it for you. So you shouldn't go out and start spending money on that.
Right.
There are smart people, and
spending money on that meaning outsourcing to somebody and gonna have to pay $30,000 to get something built.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that. There's a lot of people that want to get involved with stuff that are very smart and
are willing to do it for free.
Willing to do some as partners.
Free, meaning equity down the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And frankly, that type of buy-in is really attractive to me, because then you're all on the same page and you're moving forward together and you're aligned, and everyone's interests are the same. So that's really important.
Yeah.
And the second thing I would do is I would consider focus on is not building a marketing strategy that is in the get-go is based on spend. Build a strategy that is grassroots and grows your business through people helping to build your business.
One of the things I thought was interesting about what you guys do is if somebody recommends a friend, they get a free subscription. Has that been helpful in kind of, not the Dropbox approach, but there's a lot of things where, like Dropbox, you share this and you unlock X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that is helpful, because we have two types of women that are posting women that are posting guys because they truly want the guy to meet someone, and women that are posting guys because they want their free subscription. So, and believe it or not,
you'll take either though, right?
I'll
somebody
take,
using the product.
Hey, my business is getting hot guys and not hot, desirable, marketable guys on our site. And if a woman is posting a marketable guy, then that's perfect.
Well, you wouldn't be successful if you had 30 ugly dudes on the site. And so, you guys are doing MassChallenge or have done MassChallenge. What's that experience been like? If I had a company today and was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing, would you push me to go apply for an accelerator?
Yeah. I would push any startup to apply for MassChallenge. I actually, so I moved here 18 months ago from New York. Didn't even know what MassChallenge was, and met one of the women on the staff at MassChallenge. She's like, hey, you should apply for MassChallenge. I was like, well, what's MassChallenge? And I'd heard of it, but I didn't know what it was, and applied. And probably one of the best decisions for me as a startup entrepreneur, with this go around that I could have made
Is being here.
Yeah, it's just a few things that have really benefited from. When you talk about, there's a lot of mentors, and you talk about mentors, and I didn't really know what that meant. But I've had access to people that have skills and backgrounds that plug holes that we needed to plug that otherwise I would have to go out and pay for. And frankly, I don't know if they would talk to me, And so these people are like, look, I'm a UX expert. What can I help you with? And that has been invaluable.
Right. It's unbelievable to have that in the same building.
It's awesome. It's been really terrific. And then, as an entrepreneur, it's a very lonely experience. And so rather than sitting at your desk at home in your basement building your business, you're here with, hundreds of other extremely talented, smart individuals, and everyone's supporting each other, and that community drives people forward.
You might all have different businesses, but you're kind of tackling the same problems. It's how do we get people using whatever we're building?
Yeah. It's been a great experience. I'd recommend it to anyone.
Yeah. So having come here from Boston, I always ask this people, because obviously this is about Boston, but what's good about building a company here, and what's something that we can be doing better?
Yeah. The community is what's good about building a company here. There's this kind of pay it forward mentality that everyone talks about.
Yeah.
And the second I got here, I started experiencing that firsthand. The community wants the community to succeed, and I don't find that in other cities. It's people want their fellow entrepreneurs and startup members to be successful, and that is probably the most powerful thing that Boston has going for it. I was shocked. I started reaching out to people when I got here and setting up meetings with people that are really successful, and they're like, "Great, let's meet." And
That's the number one. I have that experience. Almost every person I've talked to has the same experience. It's like, how do you get a meeting with somebody? You just ask them.
Yeah, right? I'm not talking we're talking people that are internationally successful.
Right. And as long as you're just I think as long as you're not like, hey, I want to selfishly grab coffee. Right. There doesn't even have to always be a give and take. A lot of people are like, well, you need to offer something back. I don't always agree with that. I think if I reach out to you and I say, hey, Ken, you're doing X, Y, and Z that I'm really interested in. Here's why I want to chat. That's, I think, what's amazing about being here is that you're like, okay, cool. You're someone who I used to be in your shoes. Sure, I'll grab a coffee.
Yeah. And you know what I think it is? I don't think you have to offer something back immediately, but I think if you kind of play into the whole, look, pay it forward idea, then you're offering something back. Yeah. So, sometimes entrepreneurs will call me and ask me to get together, and I don't view myself as some big hotshot, but to them, I may be able to help in some way. Right. And so I say, great, let's meet. And I think as long as, if you're meeting with people and then you're then paying that forward, then I think you're doing your part.
And 2 minutes into us talking, you're like, I'm going to introduce you to 6 people. There's no reason to do that. It's just other than it's good to connect with people.
And I think that Boston is unique in that way, and that is what is making the ecosystem so successful, and will continue to grow it. Yeah. And the more we can all help each other do that, the stronger we'll all be. Yeah. And that has been by far the most important and valuable thing I've done.
So one of the challenges, you mentioned this to me, has been not a lot of consumer companies. How do we fix that?
Yeah. I think we need to have more successful consumer companies, and then use those consumer companies to then help breed another generation of consumer companies. What I've experienced as a newcomer to town is that obviously there are tremendous life sciences, startups and
marketing technology.
And, a lot of enterprise stuff. But a lot of times I'll walk up to people and, hey, I'm Ken, and I do a dating site, and I make love for a living, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And I get 2 responses. The first one I really respect is, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you just said. I can't help you. And the other is, let me try to give you my opinion. And I'm like, okay, no, that's just totally wrong. And everyone's like, I think their intentions are very good, but it's been a little frustrating. And that it's just, for someone like me who comes in and looks at the world as like a mass market, it's a little interesting.
You should just become like the go-to dating app for Boston startups. So Drizzly did for alcohol. They said,
Yeah.
hey, we'll get our first customers from every company locally, and you can get every nice woman at a local
Yeah.
company to recommend a nice
Well,
guy.
we've been doing that kind of because a lot of the startups and companies in town have been supporting us. So I was over at one of the, I mean, I guess they're a startup now, they're massive now, but like I was over there last week and they put me in front of the whole company and I gave my pitch, and 80% of the employees are like 27-year-old women, and so it was awesome.
That's great.
So people really do help in that way, and we're working with all these different startups, and they're just kind of introducing us to their.
So it's rare that I get to ask somebody this question, but it's something that comes up often in my 27-year-old male group of friends. What's Tinder all about? Why is it gotten so big, and why is it such a topic of conversation?
I think Tinder is so big and such a topic of conversation because a couple reasons. First of all, the UX is like the user experience is. I think it works,
right?
And I think it delivers what the person wants the way they want it, and
which is yes or no.
Yes, no, quick, go, and it's like that is just very attractive.
Yeah.
And then as they've scaled, it becomes more attractive because everyone's using it, and we are not Tinder. We're more on the hey, we want to help you find happily ever after side.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're cool. Like we're not trying to be like happily ever after la di da, but like we're trying to do that. But Tinder serves a place, and obviously and it's just rocking.
Right.
And
so many people just talk about it all the time, and I think that element of it will always be relevant. But I think where you guys are sitting, it's like you wouldn't post something to your LinkedIn profile about how great of a person you are. It's the same concept. So where do you see yourself where do you see you guys in 2-3 years from now?
2-3 years from now, we would like to have this product. Right now we're launching it right now in Boston and in New York City. We'd like to have it across the country in all the major DMAs and international mass market major DMAs. That's our strategy, and that's what we'd like to be. And
eventually, like, charge for a subscription or something, because there's a lot of expensive. The sites seem to be expensive, and
we're charging right away actually. So we're actually in the process right now of launching our matching functionality, and it involves a subscription fee. So
do you think that's an advantage in saying, hey, our product is so good that you're going to pay for it, and the experience is going to be worth it?
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're kind of, I don't know. We'll see. But I do know that I like from day one we started this, we wanted to build this with the fundamentals around the idea that we're building a business, and that's important to us. And part of that is revenue, and that's part of our strategy. And so we'll see. I mean, I hope that people say, oh, wow, this is so good. Yeah, we'll pay for it. Yeah. And we'll see what happens. We'll know in the next 4 weeks. Cool. But yeah, so we want to turn subscription on right away. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. People that are interested, just want to learn more, where can they find more information about you guys? They can just go right to JessMeetKen, and it's Jess like Jessica, my wife, and JESS, meet, MEET, no S, just meet, Ken, KEN.com. And you can email me too if you want, just Ken at JessMeetKen.com. Happy to answer any questions or point you in the right direction. Sounds good. Thanks, Ken. Thank you. Appreciate it.